Ladies and G-strings. So tonight we've got saying tonight, today we have a Squier Strat. As you know, I've got a lot of love for Squiers, and this is, you can see, from the Standard Series. So this one was back from 2004 when Standard Series was actually the cream of the crop. So let's have a listen and I shall talk you around it. Let's go. And so on to the pickups, and we will start with the bridge. And yes, and the position between the bridge and the centre. Into the centre. Between the centre and the neck. And onto the neck. see the clean up. And starting with the bridge. My word, there is some jangly spank for you. And onto the position between the bridge and the centre. And into the centre, which very amusingly, Leo Fender used to, what he used to say was that the bridge pickup was the lead pickup, the neck pickup was the rhythm pickup, and the pickup in the centre was normal. What that means. Spanky, spanky, spanky into the position between the centre and the neck. And onto the neck. Lovely stuff. Let's have a look round. Yeah, so you see the Fender Squier, or Squier by Fender, as it clearly tells us on the headstock, the Standard Series. These were pretty much the top of the range in 2004, which of course, when this was made. As you can clearly see from the serial number, it tells us IC04, which means Indonesian Cort. Factory, and of course 2004. So 2004 was a good 8 years before the classic Vibes came out, and so you've got this really lovely well, it's kind of a satin red with matching headstock, and it's a nice guitar. It really is nice. So you know, black scratch plates. It's very likely either basswood. I should say it's almost certainly a basswood body. You do have, of course, a maple neck with the skunk stripe, meaning that, of course, the truss rod went in from this direction, and then, of course, the skunk stripe goes in to fill the gap, and we're bouncing on, obviously, as they all are. But now, do you remember the Mexican tide pool strap that we had, that brand new one that came from, well, it actually came from Bats, but obviously from Fender Mexico, Ensenada, and it had cracks in the neck pocket, so I returned it. Apparently there's another one winging its way back to me soon. So you see, there's nothing like that on this. This is well made, and to be fair, you know, even if you do, so what to look out for if you are buying one of these usual things, a couple of little lacquer cracks really it's not a deal breaker at all, and it's really a paint defect, and the kind of paint that's on this isn't like a high gloss, and the high gloss paints are more likely to crack than of course these satin finishes, so that could explain that. However, 3 pickups, they're all popping out about 5.3 with, you know, your 2.5s in the middle. We've got a lovely 2 pivot fulcrum. Yeah, and I've set this as semi-floating. You can have it as synchronous, but I've got it so that it will go back a little bit as well. Because sometimes that is a nice thing to use. Like I say, it takes really 2 minutes to set it to be totally synchronous, so it'll only go down and not back. Yeah, this one's been played. and it came from one of our local, actually quite famous local musicians, and he has had this for a long time, and he's really looked after it. It's in good order. There's very little in terms of so what you are looking for, if you're buying one of these, you want to know that there's no choking or buzzing from the nut here up to, on this one of course we've got 22 frets, a great many of them are 21, so they don't have this extra one at the top here, if you like. Yes, so you want to make sure the frets are in reasonable order, and you know, a little bit of marking isn't unusual or terribly detrimental, won't affect normal operation, but certainly you don't want to see any great big gouges or grooves, and really that's the same for the rest of the instrument too. A few little paint defects here and there, not particularly an issue, but what we don't want is great big lumps missing. So this one, of course, as you can see, is what I would describe as a full thickness. This is, as I say, in 2004 this was pretty much the cream of the crop. Nice rosewood fretboard with dot inlays, and that is it from me. I hope that was helpful. Lovely seeing you all as usual, and I shall see you soon. Adios amigos. Ta-ra.